Caitlin Clark's $100,000 speaking fee didn't just make headlines. It exposed a widening gap between her and Angel Reese. As Clark closed deals with Fortune 500 companies and delivered keynote speeches at exclusive events, Reese's response was to raise her own fee in a clear attempt to keep pace. But the contrast couldn't be starker. While Clark's bookings reflect genuine market demand and strategic positioning, Reese's hike felt like a reaction rooted more in ego than equity. The difference? One is building a brand through substance, the other through imitation. And the market knows the difference.
If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe.
Clark's rise signals a fundamental change in women's sports. The shift from league-centric fame to player-driven empires. Her ability to command serious money outside the WNBA isn't just a personal win. It's a blueprint for how athletes can outgrow the system entirely. Meanwhile, Reese's attempt to mimic that success without matching the strategy only highlight how far apart the two stars really are. The power isn't just on the court anymore. It's in the boardroom, and Clark's already there while Reese is still trying to find the door. Caitlin Clark didn't just enter the WNBA. She detonated into it like a marketing supernova. One season in, and she's already pulling six figures just to talk. Literally, she shows up at a Fortune 500 event, says a few words about leadership or perseverance or whatever they want to hear, and walks out with a $100,000 check. That's more than most rookies make in an entire WNBA season. And while the league is still trying to figure out how to sell tickets and fix its PR, Clark has already built a brand so strong. She doesn't even need the league. She's not playing the game. She's rewriting the rules. And Angel Reese? She's watching the whole thing unfold like she just got sideswiped by a bus she didn't see coming. Because while Clark is out here negotiating speaking fees at rival CEOs, Reese is, well, she's trying to catch up badly. Let's be clear. Caitlin Clark isn't just another athlete with a buzzy rookie season. She's an empire in motion. Endorsement deals? Locked. Speaking engagements? Booked out. Global fan base? Growing by the day. She went from NCAA phenom to cultural icon in record time, and she's done it by moving outside the traditional structures of women's basketball. She doesn't wait for the WNBA to market her. She markets herself, and it's working. She's pulling in high six-figure endorsement deals and now commanding $100,000 per speaking gig. And not at some rinky-dink local sports banquet. We're talking major corporate events, industry conferences, media summits. Her appearances are keynote level, meaning she's not the entertainment, she is the event. And that kind of visibility, it's priceless. Except actually it's not. It's very much priced, and it's not cheap. Meanwhile, Angel Reese saw the headlines about Clark's new speaking fee and decided, seemingly out of nowhere, to raise her own fee to match it, as if asking for the same amount somehow made them equals. It was transparent, performative, and desperate. The kind of move that screams, if she's getting that, I should too, without stopping to ask why Clark is getting that in the first place. Because here's the thing. Clark isn't commanding those fees just because she's famous. She's commanding them because she brings value. She draws audiences. She moves product. She can speak to business leaders, moms, young girls, and sports bros alike. Her appeal is broad, and her brand is clean, professional, and smart. She's the face of a new era in women's sports, one that doesn't rely on controversy, clout chasing, or performative antics. Reese, on the other hand, has leaned hard into the aesthetic, the glam, the looks, the drama. And sure, that might get headlines, but it doesn't build a legacy. While Clark is out here showing up in power suits, talking business and branding, Reese is busy arguing with fans online and making passive-aggressive posts. That's not competition. That's insecurity. Clark doesn't need the WNBA to validate her. In fact, it's starting to look like the WNBA needs her. She brings in ratings. She brings in sponsors. She puts butts in seats. When she plays, people tune in. When she talks, people listen. She's not just the next big thing in women's basketball. She's already bigger than the league itself. And that's a problem. For the league. For the players. For anyone who thought the power still rested inside WNBA headquarters. Because Caitlin Clark has made one thing very clear. She doesn't owe the system anything. She's building an empire on her own terms. And if the league can't keep up, that's on them. There's real tension here. The WNBA has long struggled with relevance, labor disputes, and how to market its stars. And suddenly, a rookie steps in and becomes the center of gravity for the entire league. That doesn't just shift power. It erases the old hierarchy. Clark is what the league wants to be. Professional, influential, and financially independent. And that's threatening to players who've been grinding for years without seeing the same kind of success. Enter Angel Reese. Her response to all this has been predictable. Instead of focusing on developing her own voice, her own brand, and her own value, she's been caught up in comparisons. She wants the clout, the money, the attention, but she doesn't want to do the same kind of work. She's not showing up at business summits or crafting a leadership narrative. She's throwing shade, making headlines for beefs, and then wondering why she's not getting invited to the same rooms. It's not jealousy, it's resentment, and it's not a good look. Clark didn't just stumble into this success. She engineered it. She played the long game. She cultivated a reputation that goes beyond the court. She made herself a brand. And she did it all while keeping her focus tight, and her professionalism sharper than a three-point shot in crunch time. Reese, meanwhile, is trying to copy-paste Clark's business moves without understanding the blueprint. You can raise your speaking fee all you want, but if people aren't willing to pay it, it doesn't matter. Just because you say you're worth $100,000 doesn't mean anyone's buying. That's not business. That's delusion. And corporations know the difference. They're not investing in players who bring drama. They're investing in players who bring returns. Clark has proven she can do that. Reese has proven she can go viral. Those are not the same thing. Clark's independence is the real story here. She's carved a path outside the league's control, and in doing so, she's shifted the balance of power. She doesn't need approval, permission, or promotion. She is her own ecosystem. She's showing athletes, especially women, that you don't have to rely on a league to build your career. You can build yourself. That kind of autonomy is rare in sports. It's revolutionary in women's sports. And it's making the old guard very uncomfortable. Because if one player can rise above the system, what does that say about the system? It says it's broken. And Clark is proving it every time she cashes a check outside the league. She's not chasing superficial fame. She's not beefing on social media or performing for likes. She's doing business. Smart business. And that's why she's winning. Meanwhile, Reese is still playing catch-up, both on and off the court. Instead of focusing on her own growth, she's obsessed with comparisons. But comparisons won't get you keynote invites. They won't get you six-figure checks. They won't get you respect. Clark isn't asking for equal treatment. She's earning it. And Reese would do well to take notes instead of throwing shade. Because right now, the difference between them couldn't be clearer. Clark is professionalism, poise, and strategy. Reese is attitude, envy, and image. Clark is changing the way women's sports operate, turning athletes into entrepreneurs and players into brands. Reese is still stuck in the old game, thinking attention equals influence. It doesn't. Influence comes from value, from leadership, from being someone people want to follow and pay to hear from. Clark gets that. Reese doesn't. And as the WNBA continues to wrestle with its identity, Clark stands as a reminder that the league's future depends not on its structure, but on its stars. The ones who can lead, innovate, and sell. The ones who don't wait for an opportunity. They create it. That's what Clark is doing. And that's why she's leaving everyone, including Angel Reese, in the dust. If you're watching this unfold and thinking, wow, this is getting messy, you're not wrong. The competition is real, the tension is thick, and the future of women's basketball is officially up for grabs. But one thing's for sure, Caitlin Clark isn't slowing down. She's building an empire, and everyone else? They're just reacting to it. If you're into watching the drama unfold in real time, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop your hottest take in the comments. We're just getting started. And here's where it really starts to sting for Angel Reese. Because for all the talk about growing the game and women supporting women, the truth is that the WNBA is a business, and in business, value wins. And Caitlin Clark is delivering value in spades. She's a ticket-selling machine. When she enters an arena, it fills. When she signs a brand deal, the product moves. When she speaks at an event, people listen. That's not hype. That's hard ROI. Meanwhile, Reese is throwing around the same price tag, hoping the association alone will get her there. But this isn't high school. Just being in the same league doesn't mean you're in the same league. And it's not even about skill on the court anymore. Reese and her fans can argue stats all day, but the real battle isn't happening during the game. It's happening after the final buzzer. It's happening in the boardrooms, on the branding decks, in the negotiation calls with sponsors. And Clark is dominating that space like she was built for it. Reese's reaction to Clark's $100,000 speaking fee wasn't subtle. She made it clear she wants to match it, wants to be seen on the same level. But here's the problem. Value doesn't respond to vibes. You can't fake a market. Just because you think you should get paid like Caitlin Clark doesn't mean anyone else agrees. And right now, corporations are voting with their wallets, and those votes are going one way. Clark isn't just doing interviews. She's delivering keynotes. She's not just talking about basketball. She's giving lessons on leadership, ambition, vision, words executives eat up with a spoon. These companies aren't bringing her in because she had a good season. They're bringing her in because she's become the model of what it looks like to lead, win, and build, all at once. And that's what's really getting under Reese's skin. It's not just that Clark is getting paid more. It's why. Because the gap isn't about fame. It's about perception. Clark is seen as aspirational. Reese is seen as reactive. One is being invited into elite rooms to inspire. The other is trying to kick the door down without knowing what's inside. Let's not sugarcoat it. Reese's playbook is tired. The drama chasing, the online subtweeting, the look at me stunts. It's old. It might work for clout, but it doesn't build credibility. And if you want to sit at the table with power players, credibility is everything. You want to match Caitlin Clark's fees? Cool. Start matching her discipline. Start matching her strategy. Start matching her focus. But that's the thing. Clark isn't even looking back. She's not responding, not engaging in petty back and forths. She's busy working, planning the next move, sitting on panels with CEOs while others are posting selfies. She's in a completely different lane, and it shows. You know who sees it the clearest? The WNBA itself. There's this growing awkwardness around the fact that one player has become bigger than the product she represents. And let's be real, Clark doesn't need the WNBA. If she walked away tomorrow and focused entirely on her brand, her speaking career, and her media deals, she'd still be wildly successful, maybe more successful. And that terrifies the league, because now they're in a position where their most bankable star is the one least dependent on them. Clark isn't waiting for the WNBA to make her a star. She already is one. That flips the power dynamic completely. For decades, the league controlled the narrative. But now it's shifting. The players with true leverage? They're the ones who built brands that can exist outside the W. Reese hasn't caught up to that yet. She's still acting like the drama sells more than discipline. That if she makes enough noise, she'll get equal attention. But attention isn't equity. And being loud doesn't mean being respected. Meanwhile, Clark is staying quiet and cashing checks. She's sitting front row at global events, getting write-ups in Forbes and Time, building a brand so strong she could walk into any room in corporate America and run a workshop on leadership. She's not just an athlete anymore. She's a case study. And let's talk about the global piece. Because Clark isn't just huge in the U.S. She's building an international footprint. Her clips go viral around the world. Her interviews get translated. Her name is starting to carry weight in places that don't even have WNBA coverage. That's influence. That's power. That's how you build longevity. What does Reese have? A follower count and a fashion moment. That might get you headlines for a day. But what about 5 years from now? 10? Clark's setting herself up for the long haul. Media, business, sports management. Who knows? She's leaving every door open. Meanwhile, Reese is trying to keep up on a treadmill that's going faster by the second. And it's not just jealousy, it's a lack of vision. Reese is so caught up in the noise, She's missing the lesson. Clark isn't winning because the media likes her more. She's winning because she understands the assignment. She knows the power isn't in the highlight reel. It's in the strategy, in the relationships, in the professionalism. That's what gets you $100,000 for one appearance. Not vibes, not tweets, not clout. You can tell a lot about someone by how they react to someone else's success. Reese's reaction to Clark's fee said everything. It wasn't, wow, that's inspiring. It was, I want that too. But she skipped the middle step, the work, the value, the receipts. Meanwhile, Clark keeps showing up, doing the work, and letting the results speak for themselves. She's not out here making announcements about her worth. She's proving it, and it's forcing everyone else to level up or get left behind. The WNBA has a decision to make. 2. Do they double down on their old ways? Or do they finally acknowledge that the future of their league depends on players like Clark? Independent, brand savvy, professional, polished, not just talented, but marketable. Because if they don't, Clark might just outgrow the league entirely. And she'd be fine. More than fine. She's building something bigger, something sustainable, something untouchable. The difference is crystal clear now. Caitlin Clark is playing chess. Everyone else, including Angel Reese, is stuck playing checkers. And you know what? That might be uncomfortable to hear, especially for fans who've hitched their wagon to Reese's train. But the results don't lie. The markets don't lie. And the gap is only getting wider. So while Reese is busy trying to match the number, Clark is already earning it. And if the league or the other players want to keep up, they better start asking how she's doing it, instead of pretending they already deserve the same. Because Caitlin Clark didn't wait for anyone to hand her the spotlight. She took it, and now she owns the stage. Caitlin Clark has been playing the long game for years. While others were chasing headlines and viral moments, she was building credibility. Not just on the court, where her numbers were undeniably insane, but off the court too, making the right moves, aligning with the right brands, and saying yes to the kind of deals that build equity, not just visibility. She wasn't worried about being the loudest. She was focused on being the most valuable. That's why she's now in a position where Fortune 500 companies are lining up to pay her $100,000 just to speak. She walks in, drops a few truth bombs about leadership and mindset, maybe signs a few basketballs, and walks out with a payday that dwarfs a WNBA rookie contract. And she does it without drama. No call-outs, no theatrics, no messy statements. Just results. Meanwhile, Angel Reese is fumbling the moment. Instead of watching and learning from Clark's rise, she's trying to force her way into the same spotlight, without understanding how the light even works. You don't get to raise your price tag just because someone else did. You raise it when you bring something worth paying for. Right now, that's not what Reese is bringing. Yes, she's popular. Yes, she's got style and a fan base and a recognizable name. But that doesn't mean she's a leader in this space. That doesn't mean she's earned the clout to command those kind of fees. Wanting something doesn't make you worthy of it, especially not in the business world, where value speaks louder than ego. And what Clark has done so brilliantly is make herself indispensable, not just to her team, but to an entire industry. She's become a brand's dream ambassador. Clean image, articulate speaker, massive following, global resonance. She's not polarizing. She's palatable, but not boring. She's commanding, but not arrogant. She gets it. That's the real flex here. Not just that she's getting paid 6 figures to speak, but that she's doing it on her terms, without needing the WNBA to validate her every move. The league didn't make Caitlin Clark. She made Caitlin Clark. Meanwhile, the league needs her. Every rating spike? Clark. Every sold-out game? Clark. Every mainstream headline involving the WNBA? 9 times out of 10, it's about Clark. And she's only just getting started. Her name is the draw, not the team, not the league. Her. Reese wants that same gravitational pull, but she doesn't have the same foundation. Her response to Clark's dominance feels reactionary, like she's constantly playing defense, trying to prove she belongs in the same conversation. But proving it takes more than talking. It takes doing. And here's where it gets really awkward. The second Reese tried to raise her speaking fee to match Clark's, the internet noticed. It didn't land like a power move. It landed like a panic move. Because the reality is, people will pay Clark that much. Reese? Still questionable. She's trying to mirror the price tag without matching the brand equity. That's not empowerment. That's entitlement. It's not about who's more famous. It's about who's more respected. Clark earned that respect with consistency, professionalism, and strategic alignment. Reese has flirted with controversy, leaned into a villain narrative, and let the internet do the heavy lifting. That might work for a few endorsement deals and viral clips, but it doesn't build the same kind of trust that gets you in front of executives and CEOs. And here's another brutal truth. Clark's value is growing faster than the league itself. That's not a knock on the WNBA, it's a wake-up call. She's already bigger than the system she's playing in, and if she decides to pivot, whether it's into broadcasting, brand building, or launching her own sports agency, she's got the leverage to do it. She doesn't have to stay. That's power. Meanwhile, Reese is still trying to prove she belongs on the same financial tier, while Clark is quietly moving into an entirely new stratosphere. And that's the part that really stings for everyone watching from the sidelines. Because Caitlin Clark isn't doing anything flashy or over the top. She's just moving with intention. And that's more threatening than any trash talk or press conference jab. Her silence says more than Reese's entire media strategy. So where does this go? Clark keeps winning. On and off the court. She continues building her legacy, not through drama, but through discipline. Meanwhile, Reese either adapts or fades, because the game has changed. It's not about who's the loudest anymore. It's about who delivers. And right now, Caitlin Clark is delivering everything. So if you're still here, watching the story unfold like a slow-burn sports drama, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment. Should Reese refocus and rebuild, or has Caitlin Clark already left the rest of the league in the dust? We'll be here, keeping score